Marital property in New York is defined as all property obtained from the date of marriage to the date of the commencement of a matrimonial action. So any property acquired, no matter in whose name, whether in your name, your spouse's name, or your joint name, is going to be considered a marital asset subject to distribution upon divorce. However, any property that you had prior to marriage, that you owned prior to marriage, is your separate property and can't be distributed. Also, any monies that you receive by way of inheritance or by gifts from a third party are also considered separate property and can't be touched upon divorce. So whatever separate property you have, whether you owned it before marriage, whether your parents gifted it to you, or you inherited money, is going to remain your separate property, not subject to division. If you received an inheritance, say, of $1 million in the form of stocks and bonds, and the certificates were delivered to you in your name, and you went out and you changed ownership from yourself to yourself and your spouse, you have now converted that separate asset into a marital asset, and you'll suffer the consequences upon divorce. One other exception to the separate marital property definition, and that is when there's an appreciation of a separate asset during marriage by an active act or participation of the spouse. For example, you own a business at the time of marriage, it's worth $100,000. You're married for 10 years, and during that 10-year period, the husband works exclusively in that business, full-time in efforts, and makes that 100,000 asset grow to $1,100,000. The appreciation of that asset, that business asset, is $1 million, and that portion, that $1 million, is then converted into a marital asset and will be divided in the event of divorce. These exceptions that I've talked to you about and the definitions themselves is probably one of the big reasons that we see many clients for prenuptial and postnuptial agreements. Today they're becoming far more common, and in order to protect your assets from a division and the exception rule, you can obviate the exception rule by entering into a prenuptial agreement that defines what will and what will not be marital assets. Same thing, even after marriage, you have the ability, if your spouse will agree, to enter into a postnuptial agreement that will do the same thing and talk about inheritance rights as well.